Hi, I'm Nathan. I go by Peteparker, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. If I want to keep buying these, then I have to review them online. So this is the review for the New Avengers Fear Itself tie-in. I'm sure it's just New Avengers number 14. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis and drawn by Mike Deodato. I have not been reading this because the story generally does not interest me, and at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of Mike Deodato's art. I find a lot of times a lot of information or a lot of clarity gets lost in the heavy amount of shadows that he typically uses, so I don't enjoy it all that much. I did pick this up because it's the resolution of Mockingbird being shot and how that's being picked up again, kind of. And this issue is all about Mockingbird, more or less. There's one small scene about Spider-Man leaving the Avengers, which I don't really know whether or not that's true or not. It seems like it would make bigger news in the comic books world in general if that were officially true. But it seems like he officially walks out of here because Victoria Hand, Norman Osborn's right-hand lady who's working with the new Avengers, he doesn't like her, and he thinks that she's secretly manipulating things to get her to get them to do what she wants them to do. But in general, and it's really unclear whether or not he actually leaves at the end. It looks like Wolverine and Luke Cage are going to talk to him about what his concerns are and try to keep him around. But the rest of the issue is more or less about Mockingbird talking about how she took a combination of super soldier serum and the Infinity Formula. That's like Captain America's serum and Nick Fury's serum. And she's got both of those effects now. So she could live a long time, but it was experimental. And at the same time, she had a super soldier serum that worked. So it seems like Bendis gets in on these kicks about these characters that he really likes, that nobody else really pays a lot of attention to, and then he just drills that home. He elevates these people to the level that they are suddenly important or suddenly totally badass when they were never badass before. And I don't necessarily think that's I don't necessarily think that's the way to go, especially with somebody like Mockingbird, who was turned out to be dead for a really long time and a Skrull clone for a while there, and now she's the real person back, and she almost died and all this stuff. But there was something about that combination of focusing on her and elevating her powers and abilities at the same time with Mike Deodato's art that I don't particularly care for, that made me not really like this book that much at all. You do get more of the interview style with the Avengers kind of thing that you got in the other Avengers book that Bendis is writing, which I think is interesting, and I'm wondering if they're going to compile that into some other story some other time, or explain who that's for later on. But it doesn't really add much to the story, more or less. And they do actually point to another tie-in to Fear Itself, the main series where the Avengers Tower falls, and she's in the middle of beating bad guys and looks over and Avengers Tower falls. That's from the Thing knocking it down, who is not in this issue as far as I know. And so that's kind of a nice tie-in too, right? That was a really good writing part of saying that, yes, this is happening at the exact same time that that's happening, and these people are just a few blocks in a different direction, and they can see that happening too, which is really good for clarity as far as where all these characters are and what's happening in this world. Right now in Marvel, we have way too much of the same characters showing up in multiple places and fighting multiple people. It's getting really hard to track where people are and how they got from point A to point B and when it's happening. And you can take a lot of that on faith, but at the same time, when you get a full week of Juggernaut all over the place and then a full week of Thing all over the place, it makes you start to question, well, what's real and what's not here? What's important and what's not? And it gets really hard. This is also the issue where they printed this giant ad right in the middle, and then on the very next page printed the half-page version of the exact same ad, one after another. And it was bad enough that this giant full 2-page ad was in almost every single book, if not every single Marvel book this week. But to have it fully impacted again with the same details and same information on the next page is ridiculous. It's terrible. I'm sure it doesn't happen all that often or whatever. And then look, then this ad uses the same image of the Captain America from the Captain America movie. I mean, it's fine to have ads for it. It's fine to combine it with other things, but at least make them look kind of different. That's almost exactly the same as the other one. And we're getting it every page. It's crazy. It's almost like the same person designed all these, or they just said, hey, we'll put your whatever you want to sell in the back, and you can have a full half page or whatever. Crazy. Anyway, there is some good parts to this, despite his overuse of shadow. This is a really great image of one of the Nazi super robots or whatever. And Mockingbird trying to take it out. And there's some other like pretty clear images like that too. I found this to be a little weird. It kind of looks more like Gwen Stacy than it does Mockingbird, and she looks really super smiley happy after she's walking in and everybody assumed that she was dead or she was at the hospital or something. Anyway, I'm actually glad that I'm not buying this because I didn't like this all that much, and I don't really care for a lot of what happened in here. But I guess it's alright that I gave it a try, at least for this one. We'll see how it continues on, but between the art and talking about characters that I don't care about, this really isn't the book for me. So even though there's nothing really wrong with it. So I will give it a 4 out of 5. It's definitely an above average book. I didn't love it. I didn't even really like it a lot, but I will give it a 4 out of 5 because it's such high production value. The writing is great, the art is great, but it's just the factors that affect me aren't in this book. So there you go. And it was good that it tied in too. So New Avengers number 14, Fear Itself tie-in, 4 out of 5. There you go. If you like this review and want to check out others, look for Spidey207 on YouTube and Peteparker video reviews elsewhere. Otherwise, I will probably be doing this again in 2 weeks after San Diego Comic-Con, but I'm thinking that maybe I'll try to do this while I'm out in San Diego. We'll see. In any case, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.